We're live. This is Profi OS6 running on my Profi 3.7 Saber. I'm seated. There it goes. There's your automatic lockup. Got to review the class sensitivity on this. It's crazy. So that's on Profi 3.7. I got some issues going on with that, but I wanted to show y'all something, and Fernando's tried to talk about this. I want to make sure everybody's clear on it. That's great. It runs on Profi board 3.7, but it also runs on Profi board 1.5. This Saber's running Profi board 1.5, and this Saber also has Bluetooth on it, which enables some pretty cool stuff. My dog's killing me. Enables some pretty cool stuff. But at any rate, I wanted to show you all just some of the new features. I don't have time to go into everything, but really quick, you got a track player on here now, so you can cycle through the tracks that are on the SD. For whatever blade. And then lock it in. And then there you go. I'm having SD card issues on this Saber. The SD read speed's not good on this Saber. But at any rate, the track player is pretty cool. I got to change out the SD on this Saber. Check this out.
Battery level 4.03 volts.
That's crazy.
Battery level 4.03 volts.
All the same Saber functionality you like. This Saber's got some SD card issues, which I got to put a new SD card in it. The read speed on that SD card is really slow, but there's a lot of other cool features. Everything you like about Profi board is in OS6, and then everything you didn't like about Profi board I think is fixed in OS6, so it's pretty cool. I'm in the middle of beta testing, and it stinks that my SD card is kind of crapping out. I need to reformat it. That's an old SD card in that thing, but you know, you definitely have a bunch of cool functionality in this thing. It's awesome.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
I love the battery level.
Battery level 4.03 volts.
That's awesome. And also I wanted to show y'all, like, when you, we'll see what this Saber does. I just wanted to show the color change too really quick. So I got to get to that. Stand by. Alright, hold Aux and click power in parallel. Alright, so here's the color change now. Listen.
Red, orange, red, dark orange, orange, gold, yellow, green, aquamarine, cyan, deep sky blue, Dodger blue, blue, ice blue, indigo, purple, deep purple, magenta, deep pink, silver, glacier, ice white, light cyan, moccasin, lemon chiffon, Navajo white, white, red, orange, red.
So the cool part is the spoken colors are incredible. So you know, the work Fernando's done here is incredible, and he's on the stream, which, you know, is awesome. So if y'all haven't been to Fernando's site, you know, Countdown to OS6, please do go check it out, go read it. It's coming. It's in beta testing. We're making a lot of progress pretty quick. So I'd imagine OS6 is going to be released soon. But, you know, Fernando, Obi-Rob Kenobi, SA22C, Max, you know, Brian, Connor, Frederick. I don't know if Dimitri's been involved. But the bottom line is that, you know, all the work that Fernando put into writing his prop file, which his prop file is bigger than the old Teensy Saber OS was, is, boom, it's awesome. It's more than anybody expected. There's a hell of a lot more. I don't have time to go into it tonight. But all I can say is the beautiful thing, and I've already done it in OS6, is you can put a new font on your SD card, and then you can copy a preset, and then you go into that preset in edit mode and change the font on that preset to your new font that wasn't even on your config file. So for those that aren't comfortable in Arduino, the edit mode allows you to add fonts to your Saber and to you know, create all new presets with whatever existing presets are on your config file. So as long as your installers are, you know, given a wide array of blade styles, you know, you can do an infinite number of things with these Sabers. So it's basically a huge game changer. Hey Jennaru, I see you on there. And yeah, that's kind of Fernando's prop file. It is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's so awesome. I don't even have words. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping we finish Susenbach Saber back here behind me. And that's what we're going to get to tonight. We're going to be installing a Profi board 2.2 in this. I've already done some shortcuts, so pretty much all we should have to do is solder in the wires and off to the races on Susenbach Saber. So I've already done some pre-work before we went live tonight. But I wanted to just, you know, talk a little bit about OS6, and it is awesome. For those that didn't know, it is flat out incredible. And, you know, when you go to Fernando's site, Countdown to OS6, he has a Patreon button. And, of course, when you're using his blade styles, make sure you're donating to his site. But I'm definitely going to be doing Patreon or donating or something. Fernando, it was like his full-time job creating OS6. I don't know how he did it. I just don't know how he did it. But Fernando's prop file is incredible. I mean, OS6, we were already running OS6 on the, y'all may not have known this, but, you know, this is my Profi board 3.7 beta testing Saber, and we were already running OS6 in this, but not Fernando's prop file. Fernando's prop file is the game changer in OS6. And, you know, Fernando and Matt McGurry teamed up, and Fernando added a couple defines in his prop file that make his prop file act more like two of the features that I really liked in Matt McGurry's prop file, which is the hold power to power off the Saber and to hold auxiliary to lock up the Saber. And so I've added those basically SA22C defines in Fernando's prop file, and that allows it to operate more like Matt McGurry's. You know, I think with those defines added, and I know, but the complicated thing is if you use those defines, you lose choreography. But, you know, I wasn't that much into choreography. That's a cool mode, but for me, it didn't work. So if you want choreography, you can't use those defines. But other than that, you have all the features. So it's pretty awesome. But you definitely have to do a lot of reading. This is going to be a little more complicated for the installers to figure all this out. That's one of the reasons I like beta testing. I like getting ahead of the game and knowing what's available out there. And that way, you know, once OS6 is released, I know how to author a config file for an OS6 Saber and to get it going. And, you know, I'll understand how the OS works so I can shoot videos on it. But at any rate, I know Fernando's been working his butt off on the thing, but it's awesome. I'm sorry that one Saber has a bad SD card in it. But the one cool thing about this, you know, it has the Bluetooth module in it. And I actually added a preset with my cell phone. That's how cool OS6 is. I was able to go on Frederick's Teensy Saber app and copy a preset. And then I was able to go and edit that preset and change it to a font that's not even on my config file. It's a font that I put on the SD card, but I didn't talk about on the config file. and I was able to create a whole new preset on my cell phone on this Saber. It's awesome. So there's definitely a lot of work, you know, and Obi Rob Kenobi, I don't know who worked on the BLE app, but the BLE app is incredible. It kind of changes the game on everything. But at any rate, let's get over here to the workbench and continue work on Bobby Susenbach Saber. So without further ado, we're going under the scope, as it were. So y'all just bear with me while I get the camera set up here. And we'll try to get her, you know, zoomed in, as it were, on the subject matter at hand. And then I'll try to get y'all in frame here. So just stand by. I'm going to have to do some maneuvering. So this is our Profi board 2.2. Now the pre-work that I've done is I've already bridged FETs 2 and 3, and I've already added our wire to FETs 2 and 3. Now it's doing that stupid it's not focusing thing again, which I don't need this tonight. I need it to focus. Y'all stand by. I'm working on the settings, trying to get this thing to focus. The problem is that leg's getting in there, and it's focusing on that leg instead of... Maybe someday I'll get a decent setup for this. Wow. Let me turn the camera around where it's not on that leg, because it's just all over that leg. There we go. Now I'm going to be backwards though. Alright, so I don't know how focused it's going to be. Y'all see that joint shiny, right? In the light. I'm trying to get to the settings and get to focus. Oh well. I've already soldered on the main LED. I don't know why it's not... Oh, there are the settings. Alright. Now, let's go to... Not exposure. Let me try to get this in frame here. Y'all bear with me. We're going to get this. It says it's in autofocus. Oh well, it's crazy. Yeah, I've adjusted the white balance. This stupid camera. Everything was working fine before we went live. But at any rate, let's start installing this Profi board. So here's the Profi board in the chassis. And I'm going to try and get it in frame where y'all can see it. now the wire's gonna be messing with me. Alright. Let's rock and roll. So, the first wires I need to run are my speaker wires because I don't have any other wires back here on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and run the speaker wires, and the speaker wires are going to go here and there. Let me try and get this closer in on the subject maybe. And then zoom out a bit, because I am zoomed in pretty good. So there's our Profi board. Here's our speaker wires, and our speaker wires are going to go here and here. So I know I need them to be, we're going to go ahead and cut them to length. I know I'm going to need them to be about, and also I want those speaker wires tight up against here. And I'm probably going to put some shrink on them here in a second. But we're going to want them to be about yay long. And I'm going to put some shrinkaroo on them back in the chassis. We'll see it, Fernando. Sorry, I had so much crazy stuff going on tonight. Oh yeah, it's awesome, Fernando. There ain't no doubt about that. I'm sorry about the crazy camera crap tonight. For some reason, my camera's really been acting screwy the last couple of live videos, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but we'll get her fixed. So I'm going to try and put some of this wire in some really small shrink, so it'll be somewhat hidden in the chassis. Tell you what, I did a lot of work to get ready for tonight, and it doesn't look like it. It looks like a cluster. All right, so I'm gonna want that wire on the other side, so there. And then let's go ahead and get some wires stripped, because once we get some wires on, this board will settle down. So y'all stand by, I'm stripping some wires. Y'all have seen that. I'm stripping some wires. And then I'm going to pre-tin these out of frame before we put them up through the holes. And I've already got my hemostats ready to go. I'm going to add a little flux on those and tin them up, and then we'll be starting to install this thing. And by the way, I already programmed the config on this Profi 2.2, so it should be good to go. So our speaker, let's get some hemostats on this. I'll get you on frame here in just a second. All right, y'all, stand by. Clean that soldering tip off. Add some solder to it. All right. Next. It's nothing like installing live. I'm sorry I'm away from the, comments and all. But I'm trying to pay attention to y'all. Every now and then I try to look over at it and make sure y'all don't have any questions, but y'all have seen this a gazillion times. Let's try to bring her in where you guys can see what we got going on. Boy, this camera's really in the way tonight. After I get this speaker wire soldered on, I'm going to try something better here. Alright. Let's try something different here. I'm going to move y'all up a little bit higher, I think. And I'm going to have to move things around where it makes sense. Because I can't see what you guys are seeing, so just bear with me. We'll get this straightened out. I want to be able to see what y'all are seeing. And I think that camera needs to be turned around because the wire's all foobar. There. That's looking a little bit better. And then I can zoom in from there and get y'all in frame. I'm still not sure why it's not focusing. That's blowing it out. Well, at any rate, stupid thing won't focus tonight. I don't know what's going on there. So I'm going to cut the big piece of wire off there. And then the next I'm going to need my yellow wire, which is my auxiliary switch. So I'm going to get my yellow wire out here. Pull my yellow wire out of this bundle. And then I'm going to make sure it's routed correctly. So I'm going to pull it over here. And also I think I need my LED 6, which is my black wire, which goes to our LED switch. If you all remember from night 1, this is the black wire. So this black wire here is the negative for our LED switch, and it's going to go on LED pad 6. That's how I've got it in my config, so it needs to go right here to this pad. So it needs to go before my auxiliary switch. And right now I'm just trying to route wires so they're not all twisted and tangled up. So we're going to get this one to LED pad 6. So I know it's going to need to be about yay long. So basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the board at its resting spot, and then I'm trimming the wires to length to about where they're going to be at the board's final resting spot. And what will happen is I get more and more wires on, the board will want to naturally sit in its resting spot. Twisting. It won't have much to do. I mean, there's not a lot of wires on this one. So it should go pretty quickly. And I already did the hardest one. I'm pre-tinning that wire now. This is for our LED 6. I'm sorry, the illuminated switch, which I have coded to run on LED 6, which should be right there. I'll zoom in on it in a second. Wow, this is really in the way. Hang on a second, I'll get y'all in frame here in just a second. I'm trying to get the wire up through LED 6. This is just not working out as good as it normally does. Alright. So now we're going to come around here and we're going to solder onto LED 6. And now we're ready for the aux switch. So the aux switch is going to go, you know, the board's final resting spot is going to be about right there. So the aux switch is going to need to be about long. And now we'll strip the aux switch and I'll get y'all back in frame once we're going to solder it. We're going to go pretty quick now because I've already soldered on the LED negative for the NeoPixels. So, you know, once we round the bend here, we'll be moving pretty quick on this install. And like I said, the board's already programmed, so once we install it, we should be able to pop in a battery and the SD card and see if we have some functionality. Alright, let's bring y'all back in frame here. Alright, so this is our auxiliary switch, and I'm coming up through the auxiliary switch hole. I'm going to bend that over Birchie style. And then I'm going to come in here with some solder on this and going for the kill on this. I'll try and work on these camera settings and get them better for next time, y'all. I apologize that the camera's kind of foobar tonight. Now, we're going to need our green wire, which this is our main switch. That's going to be the next one we need because we've already, before the show began tonight, I soldered the main LED negative to the FETs 2 and 3, which y'all have seen how I bridged those in the past. Alright. I'm trying to get our green wire out of there because it's kind of all tangled up. And I want it nice and neat where I want it. Which, you know, the board's going to sit about right there. So our green switch, which is going to go about right there. So I know we need to cut it about yay long. And then I'm going to strip it and tin it, and I'll bring it back into frame here in a second. The joys of doing stuff live, man. This camera setting, I gotta get this figured out because this ain't working out for y'all. This ain't working out for y'all. There we go. Now we're back where we were. Alright, so this is our green main switch wire, and it needs to go up through this corner here. Of course you were going to do that on me, aren't you? I need to grab that wire a little bit lower because now the board's already wanting to sit, you know, where it's naturally going to sit at. Alright, so there's our main power wire there. This stupid focus thing, man. I may try something on this camera. I may turn y'all off for a second and try to do something on this camera because this setting is definitely not working out. Okay. Y'all stand by. Yeah, I know. Y'all stand by. Alright, we got y'all back. I had to adjust some camera settings here. So now let's see if I got still on, still doing screwy stuff. I just don't understand why it's not focusing. I mean, all the time we've done this, it's focused really good up until recently. The camera probably got an update or something. But at any rate, let me get that off there, and maybe you guys can. It won't even focus on it at that range, will it? I think the autofocus is hosed. Stand by. Let's try something else. No, that didn't work either. It's nothing like doing a live out of focus video. You guys kind of get the point, but still sucks that it's not in focus. Just imagine that y'all had like 20 beers or something while we've been doing this. All right, so the next wire is going to be our battery negative wire. So this is my battery negative wire coming from my battery, and it's going to run under the Profi board, and it's going to go to about right there. This is a 22 gauge wire. Yeah, it's not on manual focus, it's on auto, and it won't give me an option to take it off auto, because at least last week I was able to go into manual and focus it, and this week it's not even letting me go into manual to focus it. It's like totally in auto. It's like very depressing. Y'all stand by. I'm just pretending the negative wire. I'll get y'all back in focus here in a second. This is our main battery negative wire. I do not have a battery in this Saber. I don't work with a live battery in the Saber because that's bad. And I'm going to put this up through our battery negative here, just like that. I'm going to Jeff Birchify it. And then I'm going to come in here with some solder. You guys can't even see that. I'm sorry. I'll try and figure out what's going on with the camera. I may even try switching cameras. Now we're going to our main switch ground, which is this skinny white wire. This was the common switch ground to both the auxiliary and the power switch, and I think I'm going to route it in under the power switch and the battery negative, and then I'm going to pull it through. If I can grab it. That's why these forceps come in so handy. Alright, so now we have that. I know the board's going to seat about right there. So I know that that battery, this negative, which is our common negative to the grounds, to the switches. It's a common ground to the both switches. Needs to be about that long. Let me get that thing pre-tinned, so y'all stand by, because I have to do a little off-camera stripping and tinning, which is kind of boring. You guys have seen this a gazillion times. And let's tin this. I want to redo that battery negative solder, but I'm going to have to do it when the camera's not around because I didn't like it. There's too much solder on it, but I mean it'll still work, but it's not ideal because there's just too much solder on it. All right, so I've got our I know y'all aren't going to be able to see this, but I wonder if I'd turn the brightness down a little bit. That's white balance. Oh well, I am sorry about the focus, but we're going to be soldering this common switch ground in here. Let me clean my tip. Pretend my tip a little bit here with some new solder. This is the common ground to both switches. She's on, she's shining. Next, this is the one y'all got to be careful with. This is going to be our main battery positive. This is 22 gauge. You want to be careful because there's a lot of fragile stuff around there. I think I want to take this one in, you know, the same kind of way I routed that switch ground. So y'all stand by because I'm routing wires right now. Okay. So I know the Profi board's going to want to sit about right there. So this needs to be about that long right there. And we're leaving a little bit of slack. I'm going to grab it and strip it. Oh, y'all, I will fix this camera thing. It's frustrated me for the last 2 weeks. I will work on fixing it and find out what the problem is. But it's some camera setting that's not, you know, the focus says auto, but you know, I don't have any control options on it, which is depressing. I'm pretending that positive wire off frame. You guys won't be able to see it. All right, let's bring the Saber back in frame so you guys can see this positive going up into the hole. And by the way, I know y'all also can't see it, but I do have a Profi wiring diagram pasted right up above where we're filming at. Oh man, what a totally useless video this is turning out to be because of the autofocus situation. All right, pretty happy with that. I'll go back and reflow it and clean it up, but that's going to work. All right, our last wire, which is data 1, which I think I'm going to run data 1 on the same route that I ran the positive and negative. And we know data 1 is going to go to the 1, 2, 3rd pad in on this side. So data 1 is going to go right there. Right here. That's where data 1 is going to go. So Profi board is going to set Profi board's going to set about right there. So we know data 1 needs to be about yay long. And now I need to strip our data 1, which I use 26 gauge for data. You don't have to use 26. You can use 30 for data. I just use 26 because it's a little bit beefier and less likely to pull off something. It's just, I don't know, it's personal preference, I guess. Alright, so let's pretend this data wire. This is our last wire. And then hopefully we'll add a battery and an SD card and see if we're in business. Okay. So we're going up through the third hole here. And we'll bend that over. And hopefully you'll see some, just imagine like you've had 20 beers and you're watching this, you're like, man, I think I know what he's doing, but I'm not sure. All right. All the wires are on. Oh, that camera takes a tumble. So all our wires are on. This looks crazy right now because I haven't cleaned it up yet, but that's how it's going to sit. It'll sit like that. Of course, I'll clean those wires up, but that's how it's going to sit, just like that. You see how those wires look a little bit neater, how I routed them there. But they're going to be exposed in this chassis. This is a drop chassis. And let's go ahead and put the SD card in this thing and hopefully end our collective trauma from this fiasco. And now I've bumped all kinds of stuff. Let's zoom out. Let's do that, shall we? So we're not killing y'all. Okay. Let me get the solder out of the way. We're going to need a battery in here. So let's pull Susenbach's battery out of the charger. So we have the Susenbach's battery. And now I need the SD card. And it is MIA because I knocked stuff. I had everything sitting where I needed it. And now it's not where I need it. That's great. Ah, I found the SD card. It fell. It fell during the disaster of this video tonight. I'm sorry it was all out of focus, but let's put the SD card in this puppy. And so we're going to be looking for a couple of things when we put the SD card in. Alright, here goes nothing. Let's pray we don't have an explosion here, right? And get all this wires and stuff out of the way. Hopefully we hear a boot. Oh, we got a blinky. Looky there. We do have an error in font directory, I heard that. And our aux button isn't working. That's most disconcerting. We'll have to figure that out. Might be in the config. Oh, you know what? It is in the config because I didn't define the buttons in the bottom of the config. At any rate, the cool part is, let's put a test plate in here real quick. Well, stand by because the blade won't go all the way down in. Because the blade retention is tightened. Stand by. Alright. There we go. Yay! So, it's a disaster. I've had enough tonight. I am tired of tonight. I don't know what happened there tonight, but it's been a disaster. But the Saber works. I just got to go and look at the config. Let's go and look at that really quick. I'm going to go to Windows Share without me in it. And let's go look at the config. This was just a test config I set up. It's called BS MHS. So I called for 2 buttons. Yeah, but I didn't set up an aux button down here. So watch this. Let's go let's see. Let's go to a button that a Saber I know has 2 buttons, and what we'll do is we'll just copy the button defines for the aux button. Just like that. Copy that. And then this is why the aux button didn't work, Bobby. See, a lot of people would probably be thinking that, you know, there was something wrong with the wiring. And my first suspicion is always, is it the wiring or the... Stand by, let me look at the bottom of this config really quick. Okay, so there is a semicolon after each button line. I'm not a coder, y'all. So I just copy what's there. So I need a semicolon after this line. And I don't think we need that semicolon. I think that's going to be a double semicolon. So let's close. Let's save that. Yes. And then let's open Arduino and let's reprogram the Saber and see if we gain. Let's see if we gain auxiliary support. So I'm gonna throw me in there, and then let's go back to Arduino. And here we are in Arduino, and yeah, I've got his config file defined properly. So let's plug in this bad boy. We're gonna plug in this, and don't think y'all are gonna hear my system sounds because I have them muted, but we'll make sure that we got Profi board popping up here, which we do. And let's go ahead and reflash this thing. That's one thing about building these Sabers, and I know the video was a disaster tonight as far as you know, not being in focus. But the if you ever have something like that, like the aux button that didn't work, always suspect something in your config before you do you know, any crazy pulling stuff apart, rewiring it. And indeed, it was my config file, because I remembered, because I copied this config from a 1-button Saber, and I recopied the top and changed it to 2 buttons, but I forgot to redo the button defines down at the bottom. So, you know, now we're recompiling this. So there you go. We're working in Arduino. Let me get me out of it so you guys can just see Arduino ticking away down there. You can see it's programming. And I know there's an error in font directory, so when it reboots, you're going to hear error in font directory on that font. But, you know, hopefully we'll be able to change presets and rock and roll here. So it's reprogramming. We're at 56%. 64, 66, 68. Like watching grass grow. So hopefully we gain auxiliary function, because you know we tested the auxiliary button and it worked when we tested it, so should have been working in the Saber. Okay, so now we've reflashed the board. Now I'm going to put y'all back on us with the Saber here. So number one, you can see the blue blinky going there. You can see it blinking. It should be on solid when we ignite. And let's try lockup. There's lightning block. Blaster. So, you know, Bobby's Saber's working. By the way, if you look at that blue, it matches on classes and blaster blocks. And then when we turn off, it blinks. Now I can make that, you know, not blink. I can make it fade on and off, but yeah. At any rate, Bobby, it works. It's just a matter of cleaning up the install and making it happen. But, you know,
did you come back to say you forgive me? Save my soul.
it works. So thank you everybody for watching. It is time to go. And thanks for tuning in, Max and Kim and Chet Osborne and Bobby and Ken of the Hill and everybody. But sorry it was out of focus tonight. I will do my best this week to try and work on this camera and figure it out, or switch cameras and put my app on another camera, because this thing is getting frustrating. It's really making me mad, because it was working great and now it's not. So remember everybody, we'll put it in the old chat again. Make sure it's on there. Nerd up. Sounds loud, Bobby. We'll have to, you know, I can't put the pommel on it yet because I have to secure the board in. So I don't want to send the board into the chassis when it's flopping around like that, because I don't want it contacting the hilt. But I mean, it sounds pretty decent in person. I know that's one of those black bass speakers. Sounds pretty cool. And, you know, you and I will converse about what presets you want on it, and we'll make it happen. But, you know, the Saber's build, it's working. This is a little Shoto MHS for Bobby Susenbach, who's tuned in tonight. And we've been building this Saber for, you know, a couple of last Megtooth Mondays. And what we'll do is next week we'll focus on OS6, and I'll try and show y'all some of the cool functionality that maybe you heard about but don't really know about. So that's what we're going to go into next week. So may the force be with y'all, or the dark side as it were. And tune in next week. We'll talk about OS6 more. Fernando's done a lot of great work. It's very exciting stuff. So we will see you guys next week.
Thank you everybody for watching as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,